Hi everyone, this is Lisa Blair. This is another video in my series Therapy Under 5. I am a process-oriented psychotherapist based in Santa Fe, New Mexico, and I have an international women's private practice. And let's see, if you want to learn more about me or my work, you can go to my website at lisablairma.com. So what I do in these videos is I take a question I've received from usually a client, maybe a friend at some point, and I give you my initial thoughts, opinions about that question in about 5 minutes or so, and I give myself a timer to try to kind of keep it within that time. So these aren't meant to be comprehensive. If I had more time or we were in discussion with one another, I'm sure other details or points would come up. It's just kind of my initial, like I said, my initial thoughts about the question. And so we'll get right to it. So this question came from a client. I want to feel more empowered in my life as a woman. What do you suggest I do to help make that happen? I'm going to set my timer here. So the first thought that came up for me when I tried to answer this question is I would want to ask the person in some way, who or what in you feels disempowered? Because a lot of us talk about feeling disempowered in various ways, and that's really a kind of a feeling experience inside. But there's so many areas of our life where we could feel disempowered. In fact, we may feel disempowered across the board, but it's really important to start to discover, to hone in on what area or areas do you feel particularly disempowered in, and kind of start there. So I kind of identified some different areas and came up with a lot of practical ideas that you can try in each area, but also some more psychological, some more process-oriented or depth psychological ideas that you could try. So the first area I thought of is in our voice. That's not necessarily something we think of, but it's actually quite common, especially in women, because so many of us have, whether or not we live in a family system or in a work area where we feel sexism is around, whether we identify that or not, most of us. In fact, I haven't met somebody yet, met a woman yet who doesn't have any amount of internalized sexism. I certainly do. It's been something I've worked on for years in various ways. Some of us have it more than others. But in any case, voice is a big part of that. So if you have trouble, quote, speaking your mind or giving your thoughts, opinions, there's several things you can do. One is just practicing out loud what you might want to say. Let's say you're in a conflict with somebody or you want to say something to someone. And whether you actually do that or not, it's good to practice those things out loud rather than just staying in your head and kind of cycling over what it is you're wanting to say. Try saying the conversation. If you have a therapist, even better, you can actually practice with your therapist how you'd speak up to someone. Again, whether you actually do it or not, that can help you get over that fear. Put out your opinion more. Make blog posts. Write on Facebook. Say, this is what I think. Give it a try. See what happens. It can be obviously scary and all that, but it's good to exercise that voice muscle. So give yourself some opportunities to do that. And then a more sort of alternative way to work on voice is to actually just make sounds, because so many of us are very shy to make sounds, and so you can just practice wah, woo, 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 whatever it is. Like you're just it feels weird or you're self-conscious or embarrassed, but it's good to just make sounds. If that's too weird for you, try singing out loud. Most of us can do that, find our favorite songs and sing. Again, exercising that voice, making things more fluid. Second area is body. So a lot of us don't feel as strong as we want in our body. On a practical level, take an exercise class, go to yoga, go to Pilates, get your core more stronger, so you feel stronger in your body. Work out your arm muscles so you feel like you've got some upper body strength. Go to a gym. If you have the money, hire a personal trainer. That's a great way to kind of customize things for your own forms of strength. Watch videos online and follow those along if that's where your finances are. Also, for some women, taking a self-defense class or even a boxing class is a really good way to kind of feel stronger, feel like you can defend yourself. Just get identified with being a strong woman rather than just feeling victimized. And then on a more sort of psychological level, I would want to ask that person perhaps a question like, when was the last time you felt powerful? Maybe they never have, but let's say there was a time when they felt powerful. And I would say, show me that in your body. What was that like in your body? Stand like that. Make that posture. Or let's say I would want to ask them maybe, who's a powerful woman in your mind? Think of a powerful woman. Beyonce comes to my mind. I think, wow, she's such a powerful woman. Well, I'm going to go way over today, so bear with me. I've got a lot more to say. So I think, okay, how would Beyonce stand in my mind? And I would want to stand like that and maybe walk around the room like that and feel like, what's that like to be like her? Okay, a few more areas. Sexuality, that's a big one. Of course, you can read books on sexuality. There's all sorts of books out there that could help you with your sexuality. Again, if you have a therapist, you could hone in on different particular areas that you're stuck with your sexuality, whether that's your own personal, individual sexual life or your sexuality with a partner or lover. Another great a podcast that I want to point out that I think is really good is by Esther Perel, I think is how you say her name, and it's called Where Should I Begin? A great podcast where she talks about sexuality. I think mostly it's in couples, but it's really fascinating. She explores a lot of different topics there, and she actually works with couples, so it's live on the podcast, so you really get to her in-depth approach there. She has also got some great books on sexuality. Or again, there's different coaches around sexuality, tantric coaches and other types of coaches that can help you with that. Education, that might be an area that you feel disempowered in. Again, some sort of practical ideas would be take some classes at your local community college, make a intention and kind of commitment to read books on and study areas of interest of you, so you feel like I'm more empowered in my intelligence. I really want to know more so that I can say more about what I know. Maybe you need to get another degree. Maybe you never got your degree, your high school degree or your college degree or a graduate degree, and you really want that. And maybe that's time to take that seriously. Or again, write, put out a blog, write on Facebook. Anything that helps nourish and nurture your intelligence, your education, so that you feel more empowered in that area. Money. Money is also a big one for everybody, especially for women. I would suggest, obviously there's books out there, hire a coach that can help you learn how to make more money at what you're doing, or go for more of your life calling. Tanya Taylor Rubenstein is great at this. She's particularly gifted at this area. She does a lot of seminars and one-on-one coaching, I believe, and groups and such. And she's on Facebook. But anyway, yeah, for women, feeling more self-sufficient, feeling more empowered around our finances is a big deal. And then the two more sort of just psychological areas rather than the practical areas of our voice, body, sexuality, education, or finances, money. that I want to mention are working on your inner critic and working on the state of powerlessness. So psychologically, when we feel disempowered, that is often, I'm not certain if it's always, but certainly often, it's because we have a big inner critic that's putting us down, that is overpowering us, that is criticizing us, that is making us feel smaller, making us feel like we shouldn't speak up, like we shouldn't take space, like we shouldn't be as smart as we are, that we shouldn't assert ourselves in certain ways, that it makes us feel small in our finances, whatever. So there's so many ways that inner criticism has a really powerful impact on our inner experience of feeling empowered versus disempowered. So that's a really critical area to work on psychologically. And so there's two general areas. I'm going to make at least one, probably several videos on inner criticism itself to go into that topic in more depth. I know it's really needed, but I just want to mention quickly that responding to the inner critic is one of the two major ways you can work with it. So often we have inner criticism, but we've never really actually learned to speak back to it or respond to it. And you often need the help of a friend or therapist to do that, because it's not always easy to identify the criticism. So you have to kind of tease that out and find out, okay, what is that figure inside really saying to you? And then finding ways to respond to that feel right, that feel good, and practicing that. That takes years of practice, but it's really kind of a big eye-opening experience when you finally start doing that for the first time. Another way to work with a critic is picking up its energy. And again, that's usually with the help of somebody to do that. But critics have energy. They have, like if I was feeling a critic and it was saying, I don't know, you don't know what you're talking about, you sound like an idiot or something. If I felt the energy of that, it might be like, you don't know what you're talking about, like this. And my hand goes like that. Now I'm outside of the content of that criticism and I'm feeling that sharp, pointed, direct energy. Now if I just take the content out and stand there and feel that in my body and then make that hand motion more times, that gets me in touch with how I actually need to be or want to be more direct, more pointed, more with what I want to say, so that energetically I'm picking up the critic, so it's more now in me and on my side and working for me rather than going against me. And then finally, the idea of exploring the powerless state itself, I think, is a really fascinating and could be really fruitful depending on who I'd be working with. That would be something I would kind of feel out in the moment. But for some people, it might actually be really useful, almost spiritual, insightful, profound even, to explore what I would call an altered state of consciousness around powerlessness. So in other words, everything I've been saying prior is about how to feel more empowered. Great, I'm totally for that. And now I'm talking about what's in the powerless state of mind, state of being, state of consciousness. If I were totally powerless, what would I do? Let's see, if I were totally powerless, I just would want to lie down and let go. I would want to surrender. And there's something really relaxing. I might lie down on the floor and feel like if I were totally powerless, I have no control over this, no power. Actually, it's really a relief at times, right? To just kind of let go and surrender and feel that state and know, oh, maybe I need to actually feel more like that sometimes. So that's an edgy thing. Sometimes some people that's not going to be right for. Some people will respond really well to that. It's an individual kind of thing, but I just wanted to mention that because that's sort of a unusual way to look at being empowered versus not. Okay, went way over today. Thanks so much for bearing with me. I hope this was helpful for you, and please share it. If you feel like you learned some good stuff, please share it on Facebook. I would really appreciate that. Okay, thanks. See you next time.